Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video, we're going to talk Idoneth Deepkin, and we're going to talk getting started with them in Path to Glory. Now in today's video, we're going to focus specifically on the Mor'Phann Enclave. This is one of the many enclaves that you can do, one of the many sub-factions available to you for Idoneth Deepkin. In this video, first of all, we'll talk about what we get within Mor'Phann Enclave, what it's sort of all about. We'll then look at what we should do to start up our Path to Glory force, take you through the 5 major sort of steps to get your Path to Glory force ready for some games, and then we'll look at units you should maybe grab first, units you should grab later as some expansion on your initial starting force, and then we'll give you a little sample 600 point Vanguard list at the end of the video you can use as some inspiration to create your own Path to Glory warband roster for this point size, or indeed larger if that's what you wish to do. Now, let's start with Idoneth Deepkin. What do we get? And so, Idoneth Deepkin sub-faction, we're going to get the cool rules like Forgotten Nightmares, where only the closest unit can be shot by our enemy. We're also going to get access to the Tides, which give us a bunch of varying different effects throughout the course of the game. It's pretty cool. But Mor'Phann gives us an extra special rule on top of that. And the rule that Mor'Phann gives us is all the Soul Render's Lulite, which is the ability that allows them to return models to our Namati units, allow for an extra 3 models on top of what they already returned to be added back to those Namati units. So this should be said that obviously we're going to be looking at things like a Soul Render for our army and to have as many Namati in the force as possible. It's going to be those core 2 things that are really going to push this army and make this army tick and work on the tabletop. So with that all said, let's go look at how we build up our Path to Glory roster. And so, getting started with Path to Glory, Idoneth Deepkin, step 1 is to choose your faction and your realm. Now, when you choose your faction, you must pick your sub-faction, and your sub-faction must remain the same for the entire course of the Path to Glory campaign. And so, for the purpose of this video, obviously, we're going to be doing a Mor'Phann Enclave. Now, realm-wise, this is really just a narrative choice for you. This is a great idea to maybe start building up some narrative for your army, to give you an idea of maybe how to base your army. You know, if you're going for a Realm of Life, maybe you go for very vibrant jungle-style bases. If you're going for the Realm of Death, maybe there's something much more, you know, gritty, put skulls and all that sort of stuff on your base. But just for a little bit of narrative, Mor'Phann are a Idoneth Deepkin enclave from Shaiish, the Realm of Death. So if that's something you wish, that could certainly be something, but there's no need to say that all Mor'Phann are from Shaiish. You could certainly be from another realm if you so wish to do. Step 2 is choosing your starting size and your starting territories. Now, we're going to, in this video, take a look at Vanguard because at 600 points is the smallest force size to get into Path to Glory with, and I think it's just a great place to start with Path to Glory, especially if you're getting into Warhammer Age of Sigmar for the first time. Now, when you pick this, you have a unit limit, so there's a maximum amount of units you can pick, and in this case, it is 6. You get 1 starting territory and 5 glory points. Now, the starting territory that you can pick, there are lots of different options, and for Mor'Phann, I think Small Settlement is a great one, as this gives you access to more reinforcement points. While you might not use these initially, they definitely will come in handy with those larger units in Namati you're probably going to want to field. Step 3 is to pick your order of battle. Now, this is your actual roster of the units you can pull from to sort of bring your force all together, which is pretty cool. So, when you do this, you then pick your units, and when you play games of any size, you sort of pick from your order of battle. So, you're going to have 600 points to play around with, but you could play a 400 point game and pick units that make 400 points out of this order of battle. And indeed, it will grow as your army grows on the tabletop as well. Now, when you pick this, you have a maximum number of starting units you can pick, and this is decided by the size of campaign you're starting at. Vanguard, 6 units, as we've already explained. You also have a 3 hero maximum at this point size. You can only have 3 heroes. And then you have the ability to take 1 of each monster, war machine, wizard, priest, reinforced unit, and allied unit. However, because we've picked the Small Settlement, and there are other different territories you can pick which up the others, but the Small Settlement will give us access to an additional reinforcement point, or additional reinforced unit available to us. And looking at step 4, this is picking your core enhancements. Now, core enhancements are those enhancements you would generically generate throughout the game. This, of course, means like your first command trait for your general, your first artifact, your first spell or prayer for all your wizards and priests, all of that sort of stuff, they're considered core enhancements. In addition, if you are playing in a sub-faction which gives you, say, like many do, where all monsters in particular ones can take a mount trait, they are considered core enhancements. If you would get an extra artifact from your sub-faction or anything like that, that is considered a core enhancement. Now, you pick all of those and they go into your vault and they can be used throughout the course of your games. Now, step 5 is picking your first quest. And I think just a generically good one for Mor'Phann, because we are a little bit slower than some of the other Idoneth, is Defend Your Realm. This is just going to get us a lot of glory points to begin with, which is going to be good for upgrading our stuff later on in the campaign. Now, Defend Your Realm. At the start of each Path to Glory battle, you add 1 quest point to the progress section of your quest log for each friendly unit whole within your territory at the end of the game. In addition, at the end of each Path to Glory battle, you can spend a glory point to gain 1 additional quest point. Once you've gained 3 or more quest points, you complete this quest. When you have completed this quest, you gain 10 glory points. It's just a really nice, solid start here, getting you some good glory points to allow you to get some upgrades, getting you through your first quest, and just sort of playing your first few games without having to do anything too specific in mind. And so let's begin at looking at units we can bring into the force to sort of start off. Now, obviously, we're going to want to pick up a Soul Render. This is really what Mor'Phann's all about. He's a really important piece to the force, as, you know, our entire sub-faction ability is based around him. Now, he's got some decent stuff there, but his big thing is he brings back D3 Namati units to a unit wholly within 18 inch of him. However, you can't make the same unit benefit from multiple of these models more than once. However, you can have multiple of these models putting this ability onto different units. So you would get 3 plus D3 for each one of these soul renders to a different Namati unit you have available to you, which is pretty cool. He's also got a cool ability where once per battle at the end of the combat phase, you can pick one unit with wounds characteristic of 7 or less with no mount and roll 2d6. If the roll is greater than its wounds characteristic, it's slain. He sort of sticks out his thing and sort of hooks and captures the soul. Pretty cool little ability for him to have. He's just a good solid piece, and really is what the sub-faction is all based around. Now, looking at Namati Thralls, they're where we're going to go for looking at our first unit to bring to the table. Namati Thralls have a save of 5, bravery 7, 1 wound each. They've got a couple of attacks per each model, and they've got a couple of cool abilities. First of all, they get +1 attack against units with a wounds characteristic of 1, or they get +1 damage against a unit with a wounds characteristic of 3 or more. This is pretty cool. It allows them to do more damage to larger units and allows them to get more attacks against hordes of units as well. This is especially good when you consider they're a pretty decent base profile of 3s and 3s, so a pretty solid unit. Namati Reavers are the other unit option we've got for Namati, and they're a shooting variation of the Thralls. For me, they've got, you know, a 5-up save or 1 wound. They do have a movement of 8, which is really nice for an infantry unit, but they also get +1 to hit when they're shooting at an enemy unit within 9 inch of them, so they can put out a decent amount of shots and just give you some nice little fire support for the Namati Thrall units you have. Speaking of all those Namati stuff, though, the other character to take a look at, I think, first of all, is the Thrallmaster. His core ability is he can pick effectively one of many abilities to give out to Namati units nearby. You can either give them rerolls of hit rolls of 1, exploding 6s, which means every 6 you roll to hit generates 2 hits instead of 1, or they can give the ability of -1 to be wounded, which is a really good buff on a rather glass cannon style unit. Minuses to wound are just really solid. They're not very common. So this is really where I would look to start, but let's look at where we can expand to later on. The first character to have a look at is the Ishiran Soulscryer. His particular thing I like with him with Mor'Phann is he can put units in reserve with him, and they can effectively flank around the table. This definitely helps with, I guess, the slower style Idoneth Deepkin army we're playing with all the Namati units. This can be used to either bring on shooting units to hit some backfield objectives, or potentially even some thralls as well to land some charges against our enemies. A really useful character that gives something extra to our force. He's also a priest, which is really cool, meaning he's got some other cool things he can do as well. Now, an Ishiran Tidecaster there as well is another good option. This is going to bring a wizard to the table and just give us access to some magic, if that's something you really want to bring. This model can pick 2 Ishiran rituals instead of 1, and it's got a spell called Riptide, which allows the unit to take D3 mortal wounds and -1 to their attacks characteristic, which is just really, really solid. She's just a super good character that's going to allow us to bring a little bit more extra to the table, which I really like. Now, other than that, we've got the Achillean Guard, which come in a couple of different variations. This is bringing some more different sort of options to the table. I think the defensive ills, the Achillean Guard, are particularly useful for this force, as we've generally got a lot of glass cannon style units there. Unrendable 4+ save or 3+ on the challenge is definitely a useful thing to help hold objectives and just sort of have a unit that can actually stick around in a fight for a longer and doesn't want to be sort of in quickly and over with their fights nice and quick. Lastly, we have the Leviathan, the big monster of the Idoneth Deepkin. I really dig the Leviathan. I think he's got a lot to give to a Namarti force with a bunch of different cool abilities. So first of all, he gives +1 save to Idoneth Deepkin units hold within 12 inch of him that have 8 wounds or less. This is great for all our Namarti units, meaning they've got a 4-up save, meaning anything using all out defense is going to have a 4-up save, ignoring a point of rend. And he's also got some pretty cool damage. 16 wound, 2+ save that does degrade over time, however. 10-inch move, he's just a really solid, a nice big buffing piece, and gives us a cool centerpiece monster to add to the force. Looking at an army list though, so we've gone with Idoneth Deepkin, Mor'Phann Enclave, obviously, Mortal Realm, Shaiish, because that's sort of where the narrative fits for this. Grand strategy, we're going to hold the line because of all the Namarti units we're going to have. They're just all going to be battle line. It's just going to be the best way to get a grand strategy, I feel. Triumph Inspired, +1 wound is just super solid with Namarti. Now, for our leader, we've gone the Ishiran Soul Render. He's going to be our general. He's going to have the command trait Hunter of Souls, which is pretty cool. This, I think, is actually going to combine really well with the hook ability he's got to do an auto damage. This you use at the start of the combat phase, and if the general is within 3 inch of a hero or a unit champion, then on a 3+, he can do D3 mortal wounds. So you can have this, and he can potentially, you know, do a couple of kills a turn. It's going to give him a nice little cool thing to do. And then we've gone the Rune of the Surging Gloomtide for his artifact, where he once per battle can set up an additional Gloomtide shipwreck, hold within 12 inch of him with the normal restrictions. This is going to put some extra sort of protection onto our forces. Now, lastly, for Battleline, 2 units of 10 Namarti Thralls, a unit of 10 Namarti Reavers. If you wanted to, you could certainly take out the Reavers, put another unit of Thralls, and you would probably have enough points to get a Thrallmaster in there if that's something you wish to take a look at. But I think just the mix is a good place to start. We've got everything wrapped up in a battle regiment, meaning it's a 1-drop force. 550 out of the 600 points means there's a good chance we're always going to get that Triumph. 35 wounds is rather low, though, for this points value. And a 1-drop force, as mentioned, thanks to the battle regiment. Well, that's the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And if you enjoyed this video, let us know down in the comments below what you enjoyed about it. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our little fine community here at Sinful Gaming, you can do so by joining our Discord server, which is linked down in the video's description. And lastly, if you'd like to help support the channel financially, you can do so by joining either our Patreon or YouTube members. Our YouTube members will get access to some cool little emojis you can use during live streams, and also to comment on some of our posts and on our videos with, and you'll get your name with a special little icon on it as well on YouTube. Our Patreons and YouTube members will also get a name up in a special colour in our Discord server as well. And finally, you'll get a shout out from us as well on Patreon or YouTube members at the end of every video that you have helped support. Thank you to our Patreons, Christian Weir, James Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lyle, Outer and Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Q Dynamic, Angu, Anthony B, Anton Nilsson, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, and James Cater. And a special thanks to our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Chris Wallace, Ronya, Vinny, Lockloric, The Johnny 84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, Broken Shelf, Adriana Edwards, and Sean Scott. And a special thanks to, first of all, Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork you can see pictured here for the channel, and to Xmorphic, who does all the amazing background work for the channel. And that's it from us today. Please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and comment down on the video below. Stay safe, everyone, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.